The laughter still echoes in my ears sometimes, even 5 years later. It was Christmas dinner 2019, and I had just told my family about my business plan. My older brother Vincent was the first to crack up, nearly choking on his wine. My sister Miranda joined in, her perfectly manicured hand covering her mouth as she giggled. Even my parents, who I thought might show some support, exchanged one of those looks that said everything. Pizza delivery, Vincent wheezed, wiping tears from his eyes. That's your big business plan, Dylan? Delivering pizza. It's not just pizza delivery, I tried to explain, but Miranda cut me off. Oh, please don't tell me you're going to reinvent the wheel, she said, rolling her eyes. Pizza delivery has been around forever. What makes you think you can do it better than Papa John's or Domino's? My father, Richard, set down his fork and looked at me with that disappointed expression I'd grown accustomed to over the years. Son, I think it's time you got serious about your future. You're 25 years old. Vincent is already making 6 figures at his law firm, and Miranda just got promoted to regional manager. Maybe it's time to consider a real career. A real career. Those words stung because I knew what he really meant. Vincent had followed the family path: expensive college, prestigious job, country club membership. Miranda had done the same, climbing the corporate ladder at a Fortune 500 company. I was the disappointment, the one who had dropped out of college after 2 years because I couldn't afford it and refused to burden myself with crushing debt. I've been working in restaurants for 7 years, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I know this industry inside and out. I've seen what customers want, what they're not getting. This isn't just about delivering pizza, it's about creating an experience. More laughter from Vincent. An experience? It's food delivery, not Disney World. You have no idea what you're talking about, I said, feeling my temper rise. I've spent months researching this. I know exactly what gap I'm filling in the market. My mother, Patricia, reached over and patted my hand like I was still a child. Sweetie, we're just concerned about you. These little ventures of yours never seem to work out. Remember when you wanted to start that food truck or the catering thing? She was right about those failures, and it hurt to hear them thrown back at me. But this was different. This time I had a real plan, real savings, and real knowledge of what I was doing. This is different, I said quietly. That's what you always say, Vincent added. Look, little brother, not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. There's no shame in getting a regular job. I could probably get you something entry-level at my firm. Nothing fancy, but it would be steady. The condescension in his voice made my stomach turn. I don't want your charity. It's not charity, my father said. It's family looking out for family. This pizza delivery idea is a fantasy, Dylan. The market is saturated. You'll burn through your savings in 6 months, and then what? You'll be 30 with nothing to show for it. I looked around the table at these people who shared my DNA but seemed to understand nothing about me. Vincent in his expensive suit, talking about his latest case. Miranda with her designer handbag, bragging about her sales numbers. My parents, who had given up on me years ago when I chose my own path instead of the one they had mapped out. You know what? I said, standing up from the table. When this works, and it will work, don't come asking for anything. Vincent laughed again. Trust me, little brother, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I left that night and didn't speak to any of them for 3 months. Not until my mother called, concerned that I was being dramatic and needed to apologize to the family for ruining Christmas. But I wasn't being dramatic. I was focused. I took the $30,000 I had saved from working double shifts at 3 different restaurants and started Dino Delivery. Not just another pizza delivery service, but a premium food delivery experience that partnered with high-end local restaurants that had never offered delivery before. My insight was simple. People wanted restaurant-quality food at home, but they wanted it to arrive hot, fresh, and presented beautifully. I bought specialized heated bags that kept food at perfect temperature for up to an hour. I hired drivers who dressed professionally and treated every delivery like they were serving in a 5-star restaurant. I negotiated exclusive partnerships with local chefs who were tired of losing business to chain delivery apps. The first month was brutal. I was working 18-hour days, taking orders, making deliveries, managing drivers, and handling customer service. I lived on ramen noodles and coffee, sleeping on a mattress on the floor of my studio apartment. But it worked. Word spread quickly in our city. Food bloggers started writing about us. Local news did a feature story. Business exploded. By the end of year 1, I have 15 drivers and partnerships with 40 restaurants. Year 2, I expanded to 3 neighboring cities. Year 3, I was franchising the model to other entrepreneurs in different states. During all of this, my family's attitude toward me didn't change much. I'd see them at obligatory family gatherings, and they ask how my little delivery business was going with barely concealed amusement. When I told them I was expanding to new cities, Vincent would nod politely and change the subject to his latest court victory. When I mentioned franchising, Miranda would say something like, "That's nice," and start talking about her vacation to Europe. They didn't take me seriously until the acquisition offer came in. Chef Connect, a major food delivery corporation, offered me $5.2 million for Dino Delivery, not just for the business, but for the brand, the partnerships, the operational model, and my agreement to stay on as a consultant for 2 years. I didn't tell my family about the offer right away. I was still deciding whether to accept it or continue growing independently. But somehow word leaked out, maybe through my accountant's wife, who was friends with my mother. Maybe through the local business journal that covered the story. However they found out, the phone calls started immediately. "Dylan, sweetheart." My mother's voice was sugary sweet, completely different from the dismissive tone she used for years. "I heard the most wonderful news. We're so proud of you." Proud, after 5 years of treating my business like a hobby. "Thanks, Mom," I said carefully. "We should celebrate. Why don't you come over for dinner this weekend? The whole family wants to hear about your success." I almost laughed. The whole family that had mocked me, dismissed me, and written me off. Now they wanted to celebrate. But curiosity got the better of me. I agreed to come to dinner. It was surreal walking into that same dining room where they had laughed at my pizza delivery idea. The same table, the same chairs, but everything felt different. Vincent greeted me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Miranda hugged me and gushed about how innovative I was. My parents beamed like I was their star child. "We always knew you had it in you," my father said, raising his wine glass and a toast. "Here's to Dylan and his incredible success." The hypocrisy was breathtaking, but I played along, curious to see where this was heading. After dinner, Vincent pulled me aside into my father's study. "Listen, Dylan, I owe you an apology. I was wrong about your business. You proved all of us wrong." "I appreciate that," I said, though his tone still carried that familiar condescension. "The thing is," he continued, "I've been thinking. This acquisition offer, it's amazing, but have you considered what comes next? I mean, $5 million is a lot of money, but you're going to need help managing it. Investments, tax strategies, that kind of thing." Here it comes, I thought. "I'd like to help you," Vincent said. "As your brother. Maybe we could form a family investment group. Pool our resources, make some real money together." "Pool our resources?" I asked. "What resources are you bringing to this pool?" Vincent looked surprised by the question. "Well, my legal expertise, my connections in the business world. Miranda has her corporate experience. Dad has this financial background." What he didn't mention was money, because none of them had money to invest. Vincent made good money as a lawyer, but he spent it all on his lifestyle. Miranda was drowning in credit card debt from trying to keep up appearances. My parents were living paycheck to paycheck since my father's early retirement. "That's interesting," I said. "What kind of split were you thinking?" "Well, since we're family, I was thinking equal shares. Split everything 4 ways." I stared at him. "You want me to give you 75% of my money in exchange for your advice?" "It's not giving," Vincent said quickly. "It's partnering. We're family, Dylan. Family shares everything." There it was, the exact phrase that would become their rallying cry over the next few months. I declined Vincent's generous offer to take 3/4 of my money. That's when things got interesting. Suddenly, every family gathering became an intervention. They tag-teamed me with reasons why I needed their help managing my windfall. Miranda would talk about the importance of diversifying investments. My father would lecture me about tax implications. My mother would guilt me about family loyalty. "We supported you when you were struggling," she'd say, which was news to me since I remembered them doing the exact opposite. "You can't just abandon your family now that you're successful," my father would add. "We invested in you emotionally. That has value." The emotional investment argument was particularly galling. What emotional investment? The years of mockery? the constant suggestions that I get a real job, the dismissive comments about my little business. But they kept pushing. Vincent started showing up at my apartment unannounced with investment proposals. Miranda would text me links to articles about successful family businesses. My parents would call daily to remind me that family was the most important thing. The breaking point came 6 months later. I was working late in my home office, reviewing the final details of the acquisition deal, when I heard voices outside my apartment. Loud, argumentative voices. I looked out the window and saw my entire family standing in the parking lot. Vincent was gesturing wildly while talking on his phone. Miranda was holding a folder of documents. My parents were just standing there looking determined. Then they started walking toward my building. I watched them march up the stairs. I heard them arguing in the hallway about who should knock first. Finally, Vincent's voice boomed through my door. "Dylan, open up. We need to talk." I considered pretending I wasn't home, but I knew they'd just keep coming back. Better to end this once and for all. I opened the door to find all 4 of them standing there with grim expressions. "We tried to do this the easy way," Vincent said, pushing past me into my apartment. "But you're being unreasonable." The others followed him in uninvited. Miranda set her folder on my coffee table. My parents positioned themselves by the door like they were blocking my escape route. "This has gone on long enough," my father said. "You're being selfish, Dylan. Family helps family." "I have a proposal," Miranda announced, opening her folder. "We've had lawyers draw up papers. A family LLC that would manage your acquisition money. Equal shares for everyone, with you as the managing partner." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You hired lawyers to steal my money." "It's not stealing," Vincent said. "It's smart business. You can't handle this kind of money alone. You'll blow it all on another harebrained scheme. Like the harebrained scheme that just sold for $5 million. I asked. "That was luck," my mother said. "Lightning doesn't strike twice. You need us to keep you grounded." I looked at these people, my blood relatives, who had shown up at my home with legal documents designed to separate me from my money. The same people who had laughed at my dreams, dismissed my efforts, and written me off as a failure. "Get out," I said quietly. "Dylan, don't be dramatic," Miranda said. "Just look at the proposal. It's fair to everyone." "Get out," I shouted. They exchanged glances. Vincent stepped forward. "We're not leaving until you sign this. We're your family. We deserve a share of the success." That's when I made a decision that changed everything. I pulled out my phone and called building security. "Hi, this is Dylan Martinez in apartment 4B. I have 4 people in my apartment who are refusing to leave. I need them escorted out immediately." "You can't be serious," my mother gasped. "Try me," I said. 5 minutes later, 2 security guards arrived. Professional, no-nonsense guys who had dealt with this kind of situation before. "These folks bothering you?" the older guard asked. "They are," I said. "They've been asked to leave and are refusing." "Folks," the guard said to my family, "you need to exit the building now." "This is ridiculous," Vincent protested. "We're his family." "Family or not," the guard replied, "he's asked you to leave. You can do it voluntarily or we can call the police." I watched my family file out of my apartment in stunned silence, but Vincent couldn't resist one parting shot. "You'll regret this, Dylan," he called from the hallway. "When you lose everything, don't come crying to us." After they left, I sat in my apartment for a long time, thinking about what had just happened. These people had shown their true colors. They didn't want to celebrate my success or share in my happiness. They wanted to profit from my work. I accepted the acquisition offer the next week. $5.2 million, paid in full. I also made some other decisions. I hired a wealth management firm to handle my investments. I bought a beautiful house in a gated community with excellent security. I started a scholarship fund for entrepreneurship students at the community college where I had taken business classes. And I changed my phone number. For 6 months, I heard nothing from my family. Then the calls started coming through mutual relatives. Aunts and uncles would call to tell me that my parents were hurt by my behavior. Cousins would reach out to suggest that I was being too harsh and should forgive and forget. But I remembered something my grandfather used to tell me before he passed away. "Show me who your friends are when you have nothing, and I'll tell you who your real family is when you have everything." My real family, it turned out, wasn't the people who shared my last name. It was the chef who gave me my first break in the restaurant business. It was the driver who worked for me even when I could barely afford to pay him. It was the business mentor who believed in my vision when everyone else laughed. A year after the acquisition, I started my second company. This time, it was a business incubator focused on helping young entrepreneurs who couldn't get traditional funding. I called it Second Chance Ventures because everyone deserves a second chance to prove themselves. The grand opening was covered by the local media. The mayor cut the ribbon. Successful business leaders spoke about the importance of supporting new entrepreneurs. My family wasn't invited. But that didn't stop them from showing up. I was giving a tour to potential investors when I saw them through the window. All four of them, dressed in their best clothes, walking toward the entrance like they belonged there. I excused myself from the tour and met them at the front door. "Congratulations, sweetheart," my mother gushed, trying to hug me. "We're so proud of what you've accomplished." "This is a private event," I said calmly. "You weren't invited." "Don't be silly," Vincent said, pushing forward. "We're family. We belong here." I looked at the security guard I had hired for the event. He was already moving toward us. "These people need to be removed from the premises," I told him. "Dylan," my father protested, "you can't do this to your own family." "You did this to yourselves," I replied. "You made it clear that the only thing you cared about was my money. Well, now that money is locked up in investments and trust funds that you can't touch. So what use do you have for me now?" The security guard, a different one this time, but just as professional, stepped between me and my family. "Folks, I'm going to need you to leave the property," he said firmly. As they were escorted out, Miranda called back to me. "This isn't over, Dylan. You can't cut out your family forever." But she was wrong. I could, and I did. That was 3 years ago. Dino Delivery has become a major player in the premium food delivery market under its new corporate ownership. Second Chance Ventures has funded over 50 new businesses, 12 of which have already been acquired or gone public. I'm worth significantly more now than I was when I sold my first company. But you know what? The phone doesn't ring anymore with family members wanting to help me manage my money. I get Christmas cards occasionally, updates on family events I'm not invited to, passive-aggressive messages through relatives about how I've changed and become too good for my family. But I sleep well at night in my beautiful house, knowing that every dollar I have was earned through my own hard work. No one gave it to me, no one can take it away from me, and most importantly, no one can claim they deserve a piece of it just because we happen to share some DNA. Vincent still practices law, though I heard his firm let him go last year for some client relations issues. Miranda lost her corporate job during the pandemic and is now selling insurance. My parents are still living paycheck to paycheck, though they've moved to a smaller house. Sometimes I wonder if they've learned anything from this experience, if they understand that family isn't about what you can take from each other, but what you're willing to give. But then I remember that Christmas dinner 5 years ago. The laughter when I shared my dreams, the dismissiveness when I explained my plans, the assumption that I would fail. Some people will only see you as valuable when you have something they want. Those people aren't your family, even if they share your blood. Real family celebrates your success without asking what's in it for them. Real family supports your dreams even when they don't understand them. Real family loves you for who you are, not what you can do for them. I found my real family among the entrepreneurs I mentor, the employees who believed in my vision, and the friends who knew me when I was delivering pizza in a beat-up Honda Civic. And that family is worth more than $5 million. It's priceless.